Hi, hello, and welcome to episode 26 of the Whips and Whimsy podcast. My name is Zenith. My pronouns are they, them. I am happy that you are joining me here today. Today is Saturday, September 27th. It is still a little bit warm outside. It is in the upper 60s, lower 70s, which is kind of a bummer. I'm ready for it to just be fall all the time. This is my podcast where we talk about all things that I've been knitting lately. There's usually some talk about books and such at the end of the videos. If that sounds like something you are interested in, grab a snack, grab a craft. Let's dive on in. Today, I have my new cup from Michaels from the Dead Regency collection. Inside of this, I have homebrewed tea. It is from a witchcraft store near me. It is called Lung Cleanser Tea. I'm going to take a sip already. We will get into it more during the life segment, but I'm not breathing very well right now, as you may or may not be able to tell. So please bear with me as we get through this together. It has been a weird week. I am a little bit off. There are some things happening in my personal life I don't necessarily want to put on the internet, but things are doing. So I'm here. I have some things done, but this is going to be a little bit of an off episode. But we're just going to jump into it and see where the journey takes us, even on our bad weeks. The first project I want to show you is in my new bag from Julie Quez. She's a bag. She sews bags and sells them on Etsy. She's not a bag. I don't know where that sentence was going. But yeah, she sews bags on and sells them on Etsy, and I just am obsessed with this cute little fall one. It came with a little charm. It's adorable. Inside of here, I have my Sunday swing socks. They look almost the same as they did a week ago because I haven't really been getting that much knitting. This week has really kicked my butt. There's a very subtle pattern in the cuff or in the leg portion. You can see some of the, there's just a little bit of detail there. And yeah, these are the Sunday swing pattern. This is from knitty.com. It's a very old, tried and true pattern. I have linked it down below. All of the links for everything I mention are going to be in the description, as is my Instagram and my Ravelry. All of that information will be in the description, so check that out. Last week we left off and I had the cuff done and I got the leg done. So we're doing great. These will get done next week. I have no doubt of that. But this is where we are for the moment. I've been focusing on my other pair of socks more, which is why there's been barely any work on this. This has come with me to work. But they're cracking down on phone usage at work, which is fine. However, my phone data got enshittified this summer, as is the way of things. So instead of working everywhere in the building, it only works in 2 spots. And in the place where I take my break, it literally runs at dial-up speed. So it takes my entire break to do the things I need to do on my phone during the day, which is kind of annoying because it would take me a third of the time if I did it at my desk, but I'm not allowed to do it at my desk. So it's fine. Just a little bit frustrating. Anyway, this yarn is from Knit Picks. It is I wrote down that it's Stroll in my notes, and that is incorrect. It is Static, and this is the Building Blocks colorway. I believe it is discontinued. I love this yarn, and also I'm making the socks. I finally decided who they're for. They're going to be for my friend Kaylee, who sent me literally an entire plastic storage tub full of yarn a couple weeks ago, and so therefore I'm going to send her an entire mailer full of socks and possibly a couple shawls. We will see. I have some shawls that I've made previously that I am not going to wear. I'm not a shawl person, but Kaylee is, and so I might just be like, here, you can have this thing I made. years ago that I've never worn, or I've like worn once. What's really a bummer, this is an absolute tangent. I have a roommate. My roommate is one of the most best dressed people I know. And she could rock every shawl that I make, but she is allergic to wool, which is why she never gets mentioned on here except for like if she's making noise. Because I can't knit for her, and I'm so sad because she would be so knitworthy. In fact, I made one year for Pride. I knit this giant boomerang shawl out of one of those like really big hobby gradient cakes of rainbow yarn. And she borrowed it and wears it like every single week because she's just like, I want to wear a giant rainbow. And I'm like, I love this. And she rocks it. Anyway, the other pair of socks I'm working on is the same one I was working on a week before. So these are my favorite thing in the entire world. I love them so much. I can't wait for them to be done. The only thing that these two need are the toes put on them. I really love these so much. And I just think that they're so cute. And this is my Mermaid's Pearl Advent Calendar from 2024, which is a gift from my parents. And I'm doing basically my standard vanilla pattern, which is 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing for the cuff, 30 rounds for the leg, a slip stitch heel, 65 rows for the foot, fits my foot, and then a square toe. As a contrast color, I'm using a mystery yarn that I got from my friend Kaylee in the color gray. And I picked that one because I already have a very similar gray in my stash, but this one is 2-ply, so I wanted to have that because this yarn overall is also a 2-ply, so it matches texturally what's going on. These socks have been a pain in the butt to make. They should be done by now. The problem is on the leg, I changed colors every 3 rounds, which was a choice. And then on the foot, I changed colors every 5 rounds because I had 13 colors total. So I usually do like 30 rounds. I did slightly more than that because I had 13 colors, so I did 39 rows. And then on the foot, I needed 65 rows. That's 5 rows each, 13 colors. Perfect. Perfect stripes. Perfect fit for my foot. So I'm going to wear these constantly once they're done. But making them means having to cut my yarn either every 3 rows or every 5 rows. And I'm just a little bit losing my mind. Just a little bit. That these are still not done. Because I also have to like switch between each sock. So it just feels like it takes forever to do stuff. And really it's just because it takes half the time to do each stripe. And it's driving me nuts. Anyway, I also have a ton of yarn left. So this is leftover. I knew it would be leftover. It's heel cuff toes. But I also have all these left. So I'm happy to have them left, but I don't know what I want to do with them. Actually, I'm going to open this up to the class. So if you're watching this and you have thoughts, please leave a comment down below what you think I should do with these. Some of the options I'm thinking of are knitting one of my tiny pigs in each of the colors and then keeping the scrap of those, because there will still be quite a bit of yarn left over, and either making it into a blanket or doing a second pair of scrappy socks. Another thought I had was not doing 13 color socks again. I'm not doing 13 color socks again, end sentence. But I could take a couple of the colors and do kind of like where you roll a dice and like that's how many you knit, and just kind of like, you know, cycling through like 3 colors. I think I could do that and not hate my life. Or just holding it double and starting a DK weight scrap blanket, and then adding other mini skeins to it, because I have ended up with 1,000 million mini skeins in my life, which I'm not that mad about because mini skeins are awesome. My problem with doing the blanket idea is I feel like it'll go from like this really like beautiful, clearly coordinated fade into just like random scrap yarn. And I'm not sure I want to commit to that. I don't know what to do with all of these. So But I want them out of my stash. I do not want to save them for doing other heels, cuffs, toes. I'm going to show them again. So let me know. Let me know. What do you think? What would you do? What should I do with these? And now we have a surprise project, which I'm pretty excited about. So, remember how all of those mermaid pearls yarns had been a blanket? That was like a really weird thing. I did not want to work on it. It turns out the problem was not that I didn't like blankets. It was that that blanket was not working. So I had my blanket needles open. So I started a new blanket. It is not fingering weight yarn. This is hello. We're getting there. It's still backwards on the screen. We're doing great. This is the Big Twist yarn, clearly, in the color Mint. It was manufactured in July of last year, if that matters to you. And I'm making just like a basic corner to corner blanket. I really like doing the corner to corner style because you're able to measure what you actually have on the needles rather than just like casting on a number of stitches and hoping it's going to be the width that you want it to be. And yes, I could swatch and do math. I don't want it. I would rather just cast on and start going, and when it fits like my bed the way that I want it to, just start shaping the sides. So I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna take inspiration from the blanket that I had, because on the blanket that I had, it was every Friday I would put 2 stitch markers and I would add a slip stitch. But I think what I'm going to do this time, and we're going to pause real quick so I can drink some tea. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to pick 2 stitches. I'm going to knit them on the correct side, and then I'm going to do a cable detail on them because I think I will not need a cable needle to do a 1x1 cable. So I'm just going to have some like diagonal cables going through the blanket overall, and I think that's going to look really, really cute. I love working with this. I love how quickly it knits up. I started this, I think it was on Wednesday. Yes, it was on Wednesday because I had like a virtual appointment for an hour, and I needed something to knit, and I'm ready for the heel on one, and I knew that I was going to have to keep counting to 5 on these, and I was like, neither of these are going to work. I'm just going to cast on a blanket. So yeah, 2 days, and we already are this far. So I do have a potential problem with this one where I got this yarn. People who have been watching me from the beginning, I got this yarn in like episode 3. What happened was Joann's was closing, and one of my friends who I actually don't see regularly happened to call me and was like, hey, I know you're crafty. I'm at Joann's. Do you want anything? And I was like, yes. And I knew that I would get acrylic yarn to make a blanket with, but I could not in the moment. Like, I don't knit with worsted basically ever. And so I don't know how much yarn I need for a blanket. I was just kind of like guessing. And I was like, get me like 3 of these and 2 of these and like I think 2 of these or whatever. So I got 3 different colors. This one does not go very well with the other colors I got, which were like a neon pink and then a neon lime green were the other 2 colors that I got. So this one does not go with it. So I only have 3 skeins total of this. I don't think it's going to be enough for the full-size blanket. When I tried to Google how much yarn I would need, Google said between 2,000 and 3,000 yards. I have basically 1,000 yards. And this yarn is very discontinued. And I said, let me check online and see if this yarn still exists somewhere, like if someone's selling it on Etsy or something. No, they're not. The only other place I could find it for sale was Poshmark, and it was in batches with other colors. So I would just be getting into a worse mess if I bought more on there. I also heard a rumor that apparently Michaels has bought the Big Twist IP and is selling their stuff under a new Loops and Threads label. However, I looked up their mint colorway on the website and it is not this color. It is clearly a different color. I may stop into the store to look at it with my own eyes and make sure that it looks as different as it looks on the website. Because who knows, maybe the website pictures are just in a completely different lighting. I don't know. But what I think I'm going to end up having to do is like knit a certain amount of the blanket and then like figure out like what other color to put with this that is not going to look bad. It's fine. It's a basic acrylic yarn. You know, I can put this with like the loops and threads. I can put it with like Red Heart Super Saver. You know, that's fine. But I do need to figure out another color, I think. I really want to go buy the yarn for it right now is my problem, but I think realistically, because I don't know how much I'm going to need, what I should actually do is knit through this entire ball and then like extrapolate from there. Logically, like this is how much I will need for the entire blanket, considering I still have 2 more of these. So yeah, that was so much rambling. Basically, I'm just making things up as I go. But I am really enjoying working on this. I am enjoying how fast it knits up. I'm enjoying that I don't have to think any thoughts or like count any rows or like figure out, you know, how long until the heel or like how long until the toe, and like I'm just vibing. I'm just vibing for the long haul. So that is actually my favorite project right now. I've managed to burn myself out on socks. This is really funny. Anyway, hydration break. Once again, we're going to drink some more tea. Okay. That was all of my knitting rambles. So if that is all that you are watching for, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Let's talk about life stuff. So on Wednesday, I got officially diagnosed with asthma. Yay. We love it. We love it so much. It is very difficult for me to breathe. I am using 2 different inhalers. My boss has had asthma since he was a kid, and he has like a homeopathic remedy that he likes. So I was complaining to him about it, and he went out and like got me like a bottle of like, it's like cherry bark tincture or something. And so I've been taking that as well. And then I also have this tea I've been drinking, which is from a local like witchcraft apothecary herbatorium store, and that one is called Lung Cleanser, and that one did not come with an ingredients list. I can't find a list for it online to see like what's in it. It works, so I'm drinking it, but it is like the sketchiest thing I've ever done in my life. Also, on top of all of those things, I am now taking prednisone on top of everything else because I still can't breathe. It feels very like tight in my chest, and I'm like barely able to be like walking around work, which is really frustrating. And I'm supposed to go to a Ren fair tomorrow, and I'm like, remains to be seen whether I will be able to breathe and like be outside where there is pollen and dust and other humans. Because right now I'm like, I don't know. I was feeling really great this morning when I woke up for like the first hour. And then after that first hour, I was like, oh, just kidding. And like, I don't know how well you can tell here, but I'm like, I am slightly out of breath, like just from recording. So we're really just batting hundreds. And I just took my albuterol inhaler like before filming. Like I did it as I was setting up. I was like, I should also use my inhaler. So on top of that, I don't want to get too far into the details of this, but I am coming up to a place in my life where there are going to be a whole lot of different options for how I can move forward, like career-wise and like life-wise and stuff very shortly, like within the next 2 months. So I've been exploring a whole lot of different options. I've been working with a career coach. That was actually what my appointment was on Wednesday. And I also just kind of like, I'm just exploring a whole lot of different options and figuring out what I want to do. and kind of taking like a logical approach to this. I'm kind of in a spiral, but I'm in like a very controlled and like logical spiral mostly. Anyway, all of this to say, this week, slightly on impulse, I applied to go to community college. So that is that was a semi-stressful thing I did this week. And of course, everyone I've talked to up here is like, yeah, everyone gets into community college. And I'm like, you're from Massachusetts. Like, community college gets treated very differently in Massachusetts than it does where I am from. I am from Florida. The application process took 5 minutes. They had processed my transcripts and told me like what credit I would get within 24 hours of me applying. Because I already have a bachelor's. I would be going back for something completely different. I have a bachelor's in English, and I'm applying to potentially learn accounting. Nothing is official. Nothing is set in stone. Who knows? But yeah, that was a big thing I did this week of like, oh, maybe I want to go back to school and kind of exploring like what those options are and things like that. And then of course there was some other lifey stuff happening. Again, I don't really want to get into it at the moment. But some people in my life are not doing very well. Actually, multiple people in my life are not doing well. One of them was kind of like a bigger deal than the other couple people, but I have multiple friends who were hospitalized last week, and there's just a lot. There's just a lot is happening. I feel like I'm kind of getting hit by a semi-truck right now of just different things happening. In fact, that's kind of how I felt this year, and that was ironically one of the reasons I started this channel was because I was like, there is just so much happening all of the time. I want a place just to be happy and whimsical. And hopefully I'm doing that. I feel like I'm not doing a great job of that today, because today I'm like, I'm pretty much at my limit. Like, if anything else happens, I'm gonna be in bed for the rest of the day. Like, that's how it's going right now. Just yeah. How are you? I hope you're doing well. If things are going well for you, please leave them in the comments. I would love to hear that. I think I'm going to be fine. I just need to be dramatic first, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that brings us to reading, watching, listening. The only thing I watched this week was Jimmy Kimmel, because of course. It was good. What else? I'm not listening to anything. I listened to one audiobook this week, and it took 2 days to listen to because it was a longer one, and it was like a knitting cozy mystery. And it's the first in the series, so I don't want to judge it too harshly, because usually in cozy mysteries the first book is the worst. Because by the time you get to like 3 or 4, that author has already written 3 or 4 cozy mysteries, and they kind of know what they're doing. That came off way more shady than I meant it, but here we are. I'm gonna stand by that. I'm gonna stand by that shade. We're doing great. I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Anyway, the thing about this book that bothers me, there's a couple different things about the book that bother me, but the main one was that the book reads like it's written by somebody who knits, whose editor does not know how to knit. So they have, for example, a whole lot of characters who are knitting entire sweaters in like 3 days. They have a whole bunch of characters who are like retirees, like retired, women, like in their 60s and 70s. But they hang out at the local yarn shop all day long, every day. Like, it's known that they're going to be there. There are like classes happening at the yarn store every day, at like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday with full classes worth of people. What? It's giving, on the one hand, I think it was written in like 2006 or something. So like there's that. But I'm also just like, where are, like, where is this fictional town? Like, this is not how the world works. You cannot afford yarn and also like not be like working full time. Like, cause like some of the characters are older, but a lot of them are like people who still work, and like at no point are they explaining like how they're doing both. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, you should be at a meeting right now. Like, why are you at the yarn store? Like, I don't know. It's just strange. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with the series. I downloaded the next book and I don't know. So that's what I'm listening to. I haven't audiobooked in the last 2 days because I just kind of needed to like have my brain to myself. Anyway, I did start 2 new books, so I'm excited about those. One of them, I used to work events for this author back when I worked in Florida at a bookstore. She's Karen White. She's awesome. And she writes a whole bunch of different stuff, but I'm starting the first book for a series that is set in Charleston, The House on Trad Street. I started that last night. It's super cute. I adore it. And I like it because it's set in Charleston, which is also where my favorite cozy mystery series is set. So I picked it up and I was like, ooh, now I have like 2 different favorite Charleston series. And Charleston has no importance for me, by the way. My favorite books are set there. I don't know. And anyway, I think it's really funny because one of the main characters in the cozy mystery series that I read is named Drayton. And this book, The House on Trad Street, has a law office of Drayton, Drayton, and Drayton. And I'm like, okay, apparently everyone in Charleston is named Drayton. So that's fine. I also have a book club book that I've only read the first chapter of, so I'm not far into it at all. It's a mystery. It's Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. So I'm hoping to work on that more today, assuming I can stay out of bed. Because the urge to just like lay in bed and do nothing is very strong. What I would like to do is finish my stripy socks that are the most beautiful thing I've ever made and work on my book club book. But I don't know if that will actually happen because who knows? The horrors keep horroring. Anyway, that is all I have for this week, for better and worse. Hopefully this next week is better. We'll find out. Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope you have a fantastic, whimsical week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.